a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience. I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
Hi, I am Tina. You never know what you may find at the Habitat Restore.
Hi, I'm Wendy.
Hey, this is Rocky. You never know what you'll find at the Habitat Restore.
Shopping at the Restore. Habitat Restore has furniture.
At a great bargain price.
Couches, beds, tables.
We have it all.
At the Habitat Restore.
Shopping at the Restore, yeah. If it's here today, you better get it.
Because it may be gone tomorrow.
We're hiring at the Habitat Restore. Stop by 850 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard for more information.
Looking for great deals on name brand clothing, furniture, and more? Visit the Garden Patch Thrift Shop on Spring Street across from the tall downtown NHC building in Murfreesboro. Our competitive prices and quality selection make it easy to find exactly what you need. And here's the best part, 100% of your purchase supports Greenhouse Ministries, helping over 70 families a day. When you shop at the Garden Patch, you're not just getting a deal, you're making a difference. The Garden Patch Thrift Shop on Spring Street in Murfreesboro.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. Use caulk or weather stripping to seal leaks around your windows. Stopping drafts is one of the quickest ways to lower your winter bill. Get more ideas at mte.com/myenergyplan.
Rutherford Issues with Brian Barrett. Weekday mornings at 10.
WGNS, your good neighbor station.
Rutherford County's place to talk.
We're broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios.
Visit mte.com.
Middle Tennessee Electric.
Serving to make life better
since 1936.
This is a WGNS Action Line. Talking with Rutherford County newsmakers
since 1947.
This is a WGNS Action Line. Now your host, Scott Walker.
Right now that time, 8:20, you're tuned to WGNS on this Wednesday morning. Well, with us in studio this morning, we have from the Murfreesboro Police Department, we have Chief Michael Bowen in studio, and you're the only one here this morning.
I am. Good morning.
What's going on? How's everything going?
Pretty good. My two normal partners are a little under the weather, so I'm going solo today. So
it's been a cold few days. Over a week it's been cold. Really cold.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that they're still digging out in Nashville and some of the surrounding counties. So, man, my heart's out to those individuals who are still dealing with the results of that icy weather.
You know, I drove down Briley Parkway. I guess it was maybe 4 days ago or so, and all the lights on Briley Parkway were all still out, all the way up to Opry Mills. It looks different in the dark. It looks just kind of scary and desolate.
Yeah, and that ice. I mean, I guess the biggest experience we can probably relate back to is I hear people talk about the '90s, and that stuff is devastating. It can really wreak havoc on a community.
It can. I don't remember. I mean, I know in '94 we had that big snow and we had a lot of ice, but I remember more snow than ice.
Yeah. So I remember the ice.
Whatever it is, ice or snow, it weighs down on the trees, which then fall on the electric lines, and that's where the problems all come into play.
Yeah, and it was tough getting around town on duty because we were driving those old Crown Vics with rear-wheel drive, and they were horrible in that type of weather. And fortunately, things have changed over time, and I remember that vividly.
Now, some of your SUVs, are some of those four-wheel drive?
They're all-wheel drive.
All-wheel drive, okay.
Everything we get now is all-wheel drive.
I'm sure that makes a big difference then.
It's a huge difference. Yeah. It's a game changer in a lot of ways. So we've been fortunate to be able to get those and issue those out. So,
well, I know a lot's been going on in the city, in the county, really all over the place. In addition to the ice storms, the county mayor was on recently, and the county mayor was talking about the need for a new jail within 5 years. And I'm just curious, whenever they talk about getting a new jail, because the current jail is at capacity and continues to be, are there any cost involved within the city and the city police department paying into that jail in any way?
That's mainly managed by the county and the sheriff's department. I can tell you that there are some fees that we pay the sheriff's department. There's certain things that we could do if we elect to do it, but we opt to have the sheriff's department do it, like processing prisoners. We pay them a fee to do that, and they're able to, as soon as they take those individuals into the jail, they're able to process them. So and to me, it's a very reasonable fee for what they're doing. Other than that, we have shared costs on other facilities other than the jail at the sheriff's department. We split the range time on an annual basis, and we share the costs associated with the upkeep of the firing range over there. But most of that's a county expense.
And by the way, if anybody has any questions that are city related to the police department or law enforcement, you can text those to us right now at 615-893-1450. One of the big questions, the old police department next door to where we're sitting now, that currently being used for stuff like training, things like that. But when, have any idea when that's going to be torn down? Because I still haven't heard anything concrete.
I figured you would know before me.
And I thought you would know before me.
Yeah. All I know is the timeline. I guess has a lot to do with you moving your location, and it kind of just following that move. I think that's when they would look at taking that building down. It's been, man, I know it's probably an eyesore and needs to go, but man, it has really been beneficial for, like you said, for training, for being able to go in there and work through scenarios and things like that. It's been huge asset in that regard.
There's certain aspects about training that I think, for police, it'd just be kind of fun, going in there, kicking doors down and,
Yeah. And the cool thing about that place, you really don't have to worry about cleaning up.
Right.
I mean, you have to clean up some of your mess, but, like if you use Sims rounds or things like that and they hit the walls, they're old block walls, we know it's getting torn down, so we don't have to worry about
it's a pretty sturdy building, though.
It is. And it's always shocked me how that building has aged, because you look at the square and you look at other school buildings, things like that around, and some of them are a lot older than that police department, and it just hasn't aged well. It was giving us issues when we were in there, and it's unfortunate that it can't be repurposed just because of the condition.
And what's always amazing to me, and you see this in homes too, if they sit vacant for over a year without the AC running, without the heater, any of that normal stuff, they really go down in condition fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm sure it's ready to come down. It's just a matter of time. And that time, I guess, is when the Keystone Project folks get everything lined up and figure out their timeline. But hopefully we're going to be building a new building across the street soon.
Right.
Maybe sooner than later. I don't know.
Yeah. But it's exciting stuff. It's been fun to watch the progression, seeing how things have changed over time, and just where we were at, in the 80s or whatever, whenever that we were using that building, and it's just it's a lot of us have talked about that building. I've even had some retirees ask about that building, because they're like, man, we grew up in that building. We went in there as 20 years old and left at 50 something. So there's a lot of sentimental value attached to that building, and it's it's wild.
Because I always remember the police department being there.
Yeah.
Because it opened in the 70s.
Yeah.
But anyway, here's a question that we had texted in to us, and it's asking, what call type do officers least like responding to, and what makes those calls especially challenging?
Wow. I think that would depend on the officer. You've got certain officers that gravitate to certain type of calls. You've got individuals out there that, I'm probably answering this question in reverse of what you asked, but you've got individuals out there that probably love working traffic accidents. To me, that wasn't ever really big on my radar. I was always like just going out and doing the general type calls, things like that. But I say the tough calls are any type of injury or emergency involving children are always tough, and domestics are always tough. Just getting being inserted into those situations. There's so much to look out for those situations. So those are always the two tough ones. And I'm going to caveat that anytime you deal with anything that involves human life, loss of human life, severe injury, things like that, those are always at the top. Those are probably the calls that even though they're responding to those calls, there's that human nature involvement to where it can be taxing at times, especially if you answer those calls repeatedly.
It's got to be hard to come home at night sometimes after working something where somebody was killed. I mean, I can't imagine. I couldn't do it.
Right, and you have. Fortunately, over time, especially in law enforcement, I can't speak for fire department or rescue departments or ambulance services, but forever law enforcement was pretty bad about helping people adjust after coming off calls like that. And I think that over time we're doing a much better job of recognizing those calls and recognizing when we need to bring a group of people in that responded to this type of call and have a debrief and do a follow-up and make sure everybody's good.
I said this to the police, not the fire department as well, but the thing that the public doesn't realize is when that officer arrives at your house, at your fender bender, whatever the situation is, first of all, you don't know what they just came off of, what they just left. It could have been a fatality. I mean, it could have been a shooting. It could have been anything. But it's hard, I think, for the general public, and it's not necessarily their job to grasp it, but it's hard for them to understand the wide range of emotions that a lot of the officers probably go through.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, in some of those more severe calls, we try to get them off the road, as soon as they leave that call and say, hey, come in and have a discussion and see what the needs are. It's challenging because, when you have 344, that's our budgeted positions right now. I think in March we'll be 9 short. But when you have that many people dealing with incidents, it's different for everybody. You have people that can go to situations and come out of it and say, I'm fine, and they truly are fine. But you might have others that something that might seem normal might be affecting them. So you really have to be able to just evaluate your staff, and just know what to look for as far as how they're acting, how they're performing, things like that.
I know some of the officers, some of the detectives I've known over the years, some of which have retired, moved on to other areas, but some of those that I know who have gone through some type of personal tragedy themselves growing up, maybe they grew up in a home where there was domestic violence or, you name it. Those are the ones who it seems like their heart is more so in it than any other officer or detective out there. I mean, they're doing it because of an underlying purpose in a lot of ways.
Yeah. People have different motivations, and a lot of that can be from personal experience. I look, Detective Jennifer West, she retired here just recently. And, she did a lot of the forensics for computers, cell phones, and it's just like the amount of stuff she had to have downloaded and just horrible things. And she stuck to it, and there's no telling how many people she helped put in jail for some pretty horrendous crimes. And I always looked at her and admired her for her ability to do that and do it for a long period of time. So.
When it comes to crimes that are against a child, children of any age, really, those have got to be the hardest to work.
Absolutely.
I know there was a case recently where an arrest was made where some guy living in Franklin drove, an hour or two away to Alabama to pick up a child, and I think he was charged with unlawful sex acts and several other things as well, but those are the ones that would be the hardest of all, I would imagine, to handle, especially if you have kids of your own.
Yeah, and Captain Keaton always explains it best, who's over our Criminal Investigations Division. He always explains it the best. We're not talking about looking at images and saying, hey, is this person 16 or 17?
Yeah.
We're talking 5, 6, 7. We're talking young children.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of an 18-year-old being with a 16-year-old. Most of those cases involve much younger age groups.
And when you make that arrest, it's got to feel rewarding, but at the same time, disgusting.
Absolutely.
It's hard. It would be hard for me to kind of differentiate. What do I do next? You know, I'm about to be alone in this police car to take them to jail or wherever. You know, that alone is a tough situation to be in.
Yeah. We're fortunate in the fact that we have the child Sharon in the Child Advocacy Center as a resource, and they do a tremendous job in helping in assisting victims in getting the resources that they need, and they work closely with the police department in interviewing and prosecuting these cases. So they've got a heavy lift, and they meet the challenges, and they do an excellent job on a daily basis in dealing with these type of cases.
And each detective, I mean, they have to have, and you have to have a good working relationship with the district attorney as well in order to make these cases go through the court system the way they should.
Absolutely.
Here's another question. And again, our number, if you want to text in questions, 615-893-1450. And this one asks, what is something the public commonly misunderstands about police work in Murfreesboro that most impacts officers' morale?
Wow, that's a tough question.
Man, a lot of what we've been talking about, I could see where.
Yeah. I know. That's a tough question. That's a good question. And there's probably a wide gamut of things that you could probably say. I mean, some of the simpler things, that they don't care, things like that, I know that's a shot because I know they care and they go out every day trying to make a difference in people's lives. So the impression that there's a lack of care or concern for the community that they serve, that's, in general terms, that's a big one. But, man, there's a lot of individual things that, like I said, can impact morale. But we're fortunate here that we have a pretty supportive community. A lot of I sign thank you cards all the time from people that do stuff for the agency, and it's constant. It's not just a sporadic thing. So we're lucky in the context that we have a pretty supportive community, and that a lot of positive influence is projected on the officer. So.
How often do people come back to you, maybe even years later, and say, you know, you arrested this suspect who later pled guilty in whatever the case was, but you are the one who changed my life by arresting this person and making sure that, you know, they went through the court system. They are in prison. How often do you hear back from people who are victims like that?
So it differs. I know that one of the most interesting things is sometimes when you interview people who want to be police officers, they talk about an encounter that they have. I remember one specific encounter, and the officer, I'll say his name, Mike Dangerfield. He was one of the Greenway officers, and he would walk the Greenway on a regular basis. And I remember he ran across some individuals doing some things they shouldn't have been doing, some younger kids.
Yeah.
And really had a heart-to-heart with them. And one of those individuals later applied with us and later became a police officer. And he said, man, that contact that night really changed my perspective on things. And from that point on, I took a new direction. And I tell people when we hire them in, new officers, I'm like, you can go out every day and make a difference in somebody's life. You can make a positive difference. It's just, you just have to seize the opportunities. And that words are powerful things, and what you say to people can either tear them down or bring them up. So, use your position to be a positive. Go out there and really try to change people's lives for the better.
You know, it's amazing what words can do in changing the direction of somebody's life, especially when you're talking about a younger person.
Yeah, absolutely. A
lot of times you probably don't even hear the end result of what those words later meant.
Yeah. And I've had people come up and, 20 years ago you worked a rate for me, and I was doing this or this, and here's what you did, and I straightened my act up. And you always appreciate comments like that. And I know Jason Higgins had one where Lieutenant Higgins had one where he arrested a DUI, and that individual later came back to one of our community events and talked about how him arresting her where she was and how it turned things around for her, and it's a pretty cool story. So
sometimes you come across people and they are at their rock bottom.
Yeah. And I think the way it wasn't just the arrest. I think it was just his interaction and the way he treated her. I think that made that turn out into more of a positive outcome.
I guess just to feel like somebody, takes the time to listen to what you have to say and just to listen to what's going on.
Absolutely.
Can change the direction.
Absolutely.
Here's another question. How often do officers encounter situations where the law allows action, but department policy or discretion may prevent it? And I don't, what are some things that maybe the law would allow for the officer to move forward with whatever it is, but the discretion or policy of the department would not allow for whatever that is to move forward? I don't know, maybe certain police pursuits. What would that fall into the category of?
Well, yeah, that's a tough question. I probably need a more specific question to be able to formulate a good answer. I can tell you that when we look at most of our policies, we are state accredited, and we're working towards national accreditation. Hopefully we'll get that accomplished this year. So what you'll see in a lot of our policies is very consistent with the accreditation process, meaning that we're trying to reach the highest standards when it comes to policy development, and we try to be consistent with what the norms are in law enforcement. So I'd say that I don't know that we're any different in what we allow our officers to do. We try to fall in line with state laws. In fact, you'll see some of our policies refer back to state laws. So without more of a specific question, I just try to say that we typically try to allow officers to do their jobs, and policies are meant to be guidance, and we try to view the accreditation standards, state laws, things like that, and just apply those the right way.
I know there's some cities across the U.S. where their policy is to not have any type of police pursuit whatsoever, which to me is baffling. But at the same time, I do understand the need. Okay, well, we may need to call this one off because this guy's going to kill somebody if we don't call it off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, every situation's totally different.
Absolutely. And basically, when you talk about pursuit policies like that, you're talking about, do you have a restrictive policy or a non-restrictive? I can think of very few agencies that have a no pursuit policy.
Yeah.
Most of them are just restrictive, saying, hey, it has to meet this criteria before you can pursue.
The one I was talking about, it was in Florida. It was some county in Florida. And I forgot what the situation was as to why they were even talking about pursuing, this XYZ person. But I guess their fear was that they would end up causing an accident and hurting somebody else. Yeah. And the reality of it is these days, if it's not for cameras, the officer's able to at least get a good description of the car that's fleeing and get that information out. Chances are good an officer on the other side of town may see that car in a short time later, but they're going to break the law again if they're running from police anyway.
Right. And I know that's probably, one of the more frustrating things, for officers not being able to engage in those pursuits and go after these criminals that are doing some of these things. And like I said, we try to balance it between the need to apprehend, the risk to the public, and, hey, are there chances to probably apprehend that person at a later date and time? So you have to look at, a variety of factors.
Are there any new laws that are going into effect this year, or maybe they went into effect in the middle of last year that are for the good, that will help out police departments across the state of Tennessee?
So we're in the legislative session right now. So in fact, I think one of my captains is actually attending a legislative session. So there will be a lot of stuff introduced over the next couple of months, and a lot of things vetted through the legislator. And I know TACP, the National Sheriff's Association, will be keeping on top of a lot of those proposed legislative items, and kind of see which ones to support. And so here in the next few months, we'll start seeing that unfold, and we'll see what will become effective in July.
We're hearing more and more about license plate readers and about how somebody who committed a crime in, let's say, Nashville, when they enter into one of the neighboring cities that their office has license plate readers, but when they enter into that city, the first police car that passes them, or that car passes, they pick up on the license plate immediately and notify, all the other officers in the area, hey, this car just passed me, and they're wanted in relation to maybe a bank robbery in Nashville or some other type of crime. But have license plate readers helped out that much here locally?
Absolutely. And the challenge with license plate reader is the privacy concerns versus the practical application in law enforcement, and that's the big balance, because you do have individuals that are opposed. You do see some local communities who cannot get them installed on any kind of a regular basis. So that's the big challenge. I know that we started that real-time crime center at the police department a couple of years ago. We've really committed analysts to looking at information that we receive and helping it better deploy our resources. So it's been successful for us. And I think my biggest thing for people that are concerned about it, just know that different agencies run those LPR systems a different way. And I can tell you that we have a very limited number of individuals that can actually query that information. So 344 cops, not all of them can go in there and query that information. Basically, our analyst team and a couple other supervisors that work odd hours have that access to, in case there's some needs during the nighttime. But when you look at our real-time crime center, and this is about the second full year that we've been running it, for the year, we had 791 total successes, meaning in that an inquiry or the system allowed us some type of positive information to help with a case. It helped solve 264 cases and resulted in 175 arrests of wanted persons. So it's huge. It's huge. As far as helping us investigate, reduce our personnel hours in investigations. It's good technology, it's solid technology. And those are for those individuals that are concerned with how it's used. The great thing about this type of equipment, it's governed by your most local form of government. It's funded through the city, unless we have grants, things like that. But it's something that, there's oversight on a local level on how we use that, and I think the expectation is that we be responsible with it. And I think that if we ever became an agency that misuses information or were acting inappropriately, that we'd be held accountable.
Now, does every police car have a license plate reader on it, and are there also stationary license plate readers in town?
So basically, you have stationary readers that are on local and state highways. I've talked about this before. When we first started pursuing the license plate readers, we put them on on city roadways, because there are some permitting issues and things that involved the state that made it more practical, a little bit easier to put them on the city roads. Then the violent crime grant came out through Governor Lee's office, and we were able to acquire some more of those items. And of course, one of the conditions for that group of LPRs was that they had to go on state right-of-ways. So that second group, we are just now finishing up, I think, putting those on state highways. And hopefully that'll be finished pretty soon. Like I said, the permitting process can kind of slow things down, but I think we're about to wrap that up. So
now, here's a question, and it looks more so like a question about something that may be going on right now. I can't tell, but it asks, let's see, if there is a wreck or traffic issue on the interstate, it says, I often look at the TDOT SmartWay map and their cameras to see if the flow is okay. And it says, I've tried to do this with the Murfreesboro traffic cameras, but it seems that when there is a wreck, the camera in that location appears to be turned off. And I guess because right now when you look at the Murfreesboro traffic cameras, it's basically on YouTube, and it's just flipping through the different cameras that Murfreesboro has. So I guess in a way they're asking, do they turn the cameras off at certain intersections when there is a crash that's being worked?
I don't know. That's a traffic and engineering question. We don't actually control those, or those aren't our cameras as far as they're city, but they're not the police departments. So I don't know.
And I'm guessing, is there I don't know if there is a way or not. Do those record? I mean, is there ever a need for Murfreesboro police to go to the city and say, we need the footage from this traffic camera on such and such date?
I believe that may be possible. I don't know that it's something that we do. And I know we've had some recent conversations on that. So, yeah, I wish Clayton was here because he was part of that conversation. He could help me out with it. Well, we'll bring it up next time, but I know that on a limited scale that they are.
Here's another one. It says, I went on a road trip out west last fall, and when I got home, I had a speeding ticket in the mail from one of the states I visited, and I was wondering if this process would be helpful or even legal here in the state of Tennessee, and would it free up more law enforcement for other crimes? So I guess they're talking about speeding cameras, which I know some states have.
Yeah, my son went to college in West Tennessee, and I remember receiving one of those in the mail and passing it on to him and saying, hey, this is yours, bud. So, yeah, this is always a hot topic, depending on who you talk to. And, we had red light cameras at one time, and, of course, you can do automated speed enforcement, and I'm not opposed to it at all. The big challenge is legislatively that they're basically a fine. They don't count. They don't count on your record. And, if like with the red light cameras, if you don't pay, there's no way to go after you to where it has an impact. It can't affect your credit rating. It can't affect your driving record. It can't affect all these things. So really the honest people are the ones that wind up paying for it. And the individuals that don't want to pay it, just a lot of times, at one time we had a state legislator from West Tennessee that was like tear them up, throw them in the trash. He was openly opposed to them. So I'm for them, but I think for them to have any real value to really help law enforcement, and I don't care about the fines. I don't care if we get a penny on fines, but I think that at some point that those items need to cost you points on your driving record. If you're out here driving badly, if you're out here speeding, running red lights, I think that it should have an impact on your driving record. And I think a lot of people want to say, well, it's a cash grab, it's a money grab. And I'm like, well, keep the money. Just give me points on your record, and I'll be happy with that all day long. Yeah.
We got to take a short break. And again, you can text us at 615-893-1450. And with us in studio today from the Murfreesboro Police Department, we have Murfreesboro Police Chief Michael Bowen. Time right now is 8:52. Again, stay with us. We do have more coming up next on WGNS.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
This message brought to you by the Central Tennessee Regional Solid Waste Planning Board. Visit RecycleRightTN.com for tips, ideas, and locations on where to recycle near you.
Don't be trashy, recycle classy, recycle right, Tennessee.
Recycling isn't just about tossing materials in a bin, it's about knowing which materials are accepted. Go to RecycleRightTN.com.
Recycle right, Tennessee.
Local farmers, local meats, vegetables, and other produce at the Winter Spring Rutherford County Farmers Market.
Bundle up and make your way every Friday at Lane Agri Park.
Hi, this is Dan with Music World and Drummers Den.
Our prices are as good or better than the box stores. I don't think you'll do better by shopping online than you would by coming in. Being able to hold a guitar, try it out. You can't do that online. I am absolutely sure we have more selection of instruments than anybody else in the area. New and used. We have used instruments as well as new ones. Music World and Drummers Den, 2762 South Church Street, right across from the golf course. Thank you very much for being our customers.
This is Peter Demas. Come eat with us at Demas's Restaurant. A lot of times when you get steamed vegetables such as broccoli or cauliflower, it's either soggy. One of the things that we wanted to do was make certain that it was still soft, but still had a little bit of a crunch to it. And so we worked on the procedure of how to cook that. And then all of our vegetables are seasoned with our seasoned salt. We keep that seasoned salt at home, and I can tell you almost all the vegetables I cook at home have the seasoned salt on it. Come eat with us at Demas's Restaurant on Northwest Broad Street.
This is Bud Rakes, former principal of Smyrna High School. I'm a resident of Adams Place, and I recommend that you come and visit us here at Adams Place. It's a great place to be. The people that work here, all of them are very nice, and I never have met one that was not. And, of course, I would encourage anyone, if they're looking for a place, to look at Adams Place, because they'll have a hard time beating it.
Adams Place, on Memorial, across from Walmart.
This message brought to you by the Central Tennessee Regional Solid Waste Planning Board. Visit RecycleRightTN.com for tips, ideas, and locations on where to recycle near you. That's RecycleRightTN.com.
Recycle right, it's all on you. Don't be trashy, recycle classy, recycle right, Tennessee.
Go to RecycleRightTN.com.
Recycle right, Tennessee.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
That time right now, 8:55. With us in studio this morning, we have from the Murfreesboro Police Department, we have Chief Michael Bowen, and he's the only one here this morning. So any questions you may have, feel free to text those in, 615-893-1450. And here's another question that we were asked, if I can find it again, but it was asking about policy changes or any goals or anything along those lines that are set for this year, this 2026 year. Anything new going on that you guys are trying to accomplish?
Absolutely. A lot of stuff. I always encourage individuals who are interested in knowing what the goals and accomplishments are for our agency. When we submit our budget document, every department submits goals for the fiscal year and accomplishments for the fiscal year, and that is one of the items that we submit with our annual budget. So we'll be developing a new set of goals and objectives going into the next fiscal year. It's already budget time. It's something that we're working on as we speak. I can tell you some. When you look at priorities, there's a different level of priorities. So from my desk, from the upper management perspective, the big goals that we're looking at this year is finishing out our national accreditation. We do have, I do want to put, as I look towards the end of my career, I'd like to develop about a 5-year plan so that whoever assumes these new leadership roles can have a template to follow. I know that the consolidated communication study is huge, and that's the study that we are entering into an MOU with Laverne, Smyrna, and the county to really evaluate our public safety dispatch centers and seeing if we're operating the best way possible. So that's going to be a big study this year, and it's going to have huge implications based on how the study comes out, because either we'll have to refine the way we do things, or we'll have to look at maybe going to a large consolidated facility, which is what you see in most counties our size. And I know that the discussion, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I know the discussion to about moving to the west side, having some type of west side precinct is on our radar and something that we will probably discuss this year. I don't think it would happen anytime soon, but I think the planning, the development, the discussions will occur this year, and then maybe you'll look at a project based on funding availability, maybe being out to FY30, FY31. So those are the huge, the bigger ticket items. Then as you look on the lower scale, we always want to evaluate our training for our staff. We want to make sure that, hey, what are the topics of concern, and are we training to the best standards possible to make sure that that we're doing the best job possible on the street. I know that we're looking at acquiring, we acquired the Pelham rifle range here, was it year before last? I know that now that we have the availability, to use that range, it's ours to use as needed. So I know that we can now start bringing in larger numbers of rifles. Our goal was to have one in every officer's hands, and now we can start reaching that goal. So there's just a lot of things on the radar, from training to acquiring equipment for the officers to the larger projects. So yeah, definitely busy times, good times. We're fortunate that we're able to look at all these things, but a lot of work to be done.
We don't really have any time left, but let me get this last question in just real quick. But as our population has grown, has violent crime increased in Murfreesboro over the past 3 or 4 years, or is it less based on the percentage when you look at the percentage scale and the size of the population?
Yeah. So how much time have I got?
Like 10 seconds.
10 seconds. I can tell you all of our crime categories are down this year, and we do look at those at per population, but we did have 2 categories go up on Part 1 crimes. That was arsons. The real numbers that went from 3 to 9, and then the rape category went from 83 to 90, but homicide, aggravated assault, robbery, burglary, stolen vehicles, larceny, that's all gone down, and it will be published in our year-end report and be made available on our website. So saw some good trends over the past couple of years. Of course, any type of increase in any category to me is not good, but a lot of the trends are positive.
That's good. Again, with us this morning, Murfreesboro Police Chief Michael Bowen, and as always, thank you for joining us. Right now, that time, 9:01. Stay with us. We have got local news coming your way right now.
Tennessee Attorney General